Yes, baseline.
Hey, what's going on everyone? Ridho here. Today I wanted to do something different and get into the developer seat. I'm going to pitch some ideas for what I think would make an amazing first-person shooter. Mainly, I am merging aspects such as the setting, the gunplay and the vehicles from different games to create one great shooter. To start things off, what is the basic idea of the game? For this, I'm taking the core foundation of the PlayStation 3 game MAG, the Massive Action Game. In this game, there are 3 factions which you can choose from. Within these factions, a player can increase in rank simply by playing the game. The main game mode consists of 256 players per match, equally divided in an offensive and defensive side. Each team is divided into 8-player squads, with 4 squads forming a platoon and 4 platoons forming a company, adding up to 128 players per team. This alone is a great concept in my opinion, because you really get the feeling of all-out warfare. Furthermore, each squad has a squad leader. The squad leader has to give objectives to his team. He can call in airstrikes and UAVs, and he can buff teammates that are nearby, with things such as increased reload speed. Each platoon has a platoon leader, who commands a platoon and tells the squad leaders what to do. He also has access to more powerful airstrikes and can buff nearby teammates even more. Then there is also one officer in charge, the main leader of each side and commander of all platoons. He can command an entire battle, call in things like satellite surveillance and greatly buff nearby teammates. These different ranks give an amazing sense of responsibility, and they are really something to work towards. Everyone wants to be in charge, but in order to become a leader, you must first gain experience on the battlefield and earn those ranks, so that once you become a leader, you know what to do and how to set your team in the right direction. Then the rules and objectives themselves. Each attacking platoon spawns in a different section of the map, usually surrounding the defensive side. Then they have to fight their way inside the enemy base, going through multiple lines of defense. It starts off like a rush game mode from Battlefield. You have to secure or destroy certain objectives to further progress into the map. After a few of these objectives, you get to the main section, which consists of multiple objectives that you have to capture, similar to Conquest in Battlefield. However, it could be that one platoon already captured all objectives in their section, while a different platoon is still struggling to destroy the first line of defense in their section. Apart from these main objectives, there are secondary objectives that are very important. For example, if you destroy the anti-aircraft artillery, dropships will fly over the battlefield. This gives the offensive side a new spawn point from the skies, so that they can parachute down onto the battlefield. Also, the leaders can call in airstrikes once the artillery is down. This constant struggle of destroying and repairing these key objectives adds a lot of dynamics to the game. This massive action game was spot on with all these points in my opinion. However, the gameplay itself was flawed, and so we have to look at other games for that. For the basic gunplay, I think Battlefield is doing it right. The time to kill, the recoil, the feel and sounds of the weapons, it's all great. There's tons of weapons to choose from and lots of customization. Customization can add much depth to a shooter. Finding that sweet combination of attachments, perks and gear to fit with your playstyle can really keep a game interesting. You should also have a lot of freedom in your movement. It can be quite frustrating if your character can't jump over a wall that apparently is just a bit too high, and that the environment feels more like an obstacle than a tool. I prefer games that give players the tools to engage from different angles and use the environment to their advantage. Whether that's a grappling hook like in Rainbow Six, a double jump like in Destiny, or wall running like in Titanfall or Black Ops 3, obviously depends on the setting. With this large-scale assault-based game, I think you can really go in multiple directions with the setting. A modern-day setting always works, but there are more options than that. You could go for a World War II setting, but I think a future setting can also create a lot of interesting gameplay elements. For instance, Titanfall has a great setting, and I personally like the idea of having giant mechs instead of normal tanks. In fact, since we're creating wild concepts anyway, why not include all these settings? It creates so much variety if you're using World War II weapons and vehicles in one game and futuristic weaponry in the next game. If you're not a fan of a particular setting, then simply play a different one. How cool would that be? Having all kinds of different vehicles on the battlefield can be great fun, but they shouldn't get out of hand. It should still be an infantry-focused game, and the vehicles should simply support the infantry, or just move around the troops, like transport helicopters for instance. You don't want choppers dominating the battlefield, and infantry hiding in every bunker they can find. That constant vehicle threat can actually take away some of the dynamics in the gameplay, which is definitely not what I want. One way to create more dynamic gameplay is by adding destruction. Being able to destroy walls and cover can add a lot of interesting tactics. However, this also shouldn't get out of hand. The attacking side shouldn't be able to just bomb the entire enemy base, leaving no bunkers or real defensive lines. Destruction should be a tool to create new ways inside and prevent the enemy from digging in too deep in one spot. A variety of maps can also make this game interesting. I can already imagine a map on an island, including Normandy-like beach assaults, where the offensive side is trying to set foot on land. Perhaps a jungle map, with a higher focus on stealth gameplay. Or a castle on a hill, where the attackers have to work their way up. Because you have this offensive and defensive side, you get this asymmetrical gameplay, and there are so many things that developers can try out because of this. For now, these are all the ideas I could come up with. A large-scale multiplayer shooter with assault-based combat in various time settings. That sounds great to me. If you have some ideas to improve my concept, or if you have a completely different game in mind, please drop a comment down below. I really enjoy reading even the craziest concepts. Now this is going to be the end of the commentary. I hope you learned something useful, and I hope you all enjoyed the video. Thank you all very much for watching. I am Ridho, and I wish you all a very good day.